It's 3 o'clock. Activate Live starts now.
Activate your voice.
Fight for your rights. Speak up. Speak out.
We're union and we're proud.
Go Union.
Live from Maryland, this is Activate Live.
Welcome to Activate Live. I'm Tanya Hutchins. It's Infrastructure Week, and we have the Machinist Union's Basic Communicators class in our audience. We will be talking to them in just a few moments. We'll actually talk to 2 students who are here in our audience. We have about 22 students here. They had 4 instructors this week, and I'll be talking to them later on. We'll get to those two topics in just a moment, but first, it's Peace Officers Memorial Day. Today is the day we honor peace officers who gave their lives to protect ours, and to thank law enforcement officers who serve our communities. And as you can see, the flags at Machinist Union headquarters in Upper Marlboro, Maryland are at half staff. Well, this is the 7th annual Infrastructure Week. It lasts until May 20th, and we'd like to introduce you to an effort involving workers, citizens, businesses, and elected leaders, all united around one message: America's future will be shaped by the infrastructure choices that we make today. So let's build for tomorrow, and that is the hashtag, Build for Tomorrow. Our first guest is from the AFL-CIO and is a familiar face here at the Machinist Union. He's currently a legislative affairs representative who used to be the IAM's legislative and political director. So please welcome Tom Trotter.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanya. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, first tell us, when we talk about infrastructure, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the fundamental foundation for our whole country and what it means. So, I mean, it talks about job creation. It talks about what kind of economy we have, what kind of quality of life we have. I mean, our forefathers had built out, when we did the Transcontinental Railroad, which is 150 years celebration last week. I mean, that opened up a whole new, experience for Americans. When Eisenhower built the interstate highway system, that opened up did the same thing. What we're looking to do now is do the same thing for the future, for the 21st century. But we've got a fight on our hands, and business and labor and think tanks have all come together. This is like Lisa mentioned, our 7th year of trying to educate the public, highlight what the needs are, and they're great.
And there are events going on all over the country.
We have
right?
There's 500 affiliates with over 130 events across the country this week. We work on infrastructure year-round, as does everybody else, but this is the one week we all come together and just try and emphasize it to our elected officials.
What is it like for the AFL-CIO to be on this steering committee for Infrastructure Week, working with businesses and elected officials?
Well, if you mean we don't agree on everything, that's true. But fixing our infrastructure is a win-win for businesses, it's a win-win for workers, it's a win-win for families. It's been neglected too long, and it's costing, drivers, they average, how many weeks in traffic, just sitting in traffic, idling, wasting 3.1 billion gallons of gas. It's stunning what it costs. If you're getting something from Amazon delivered to you, well, it might take a third as long because of traffic delays and congestion. That all goes up in the price of the packaging and the things you buy. Water, I know you're going to talk about a little bit. It just throughout our whole infrastructure systems, whether it's the grid, broadband. There's some communities in our country that are off the grid, and they're not getting the connectivity that they need to be successful in this the day and age.
Now, you mentioned roads. And we all have roads that we've driven in our local communities where we have potholes, and there are things that we do to improve the roads. But tell us about some statistics that we have with the roads.
Well, you cited them there. 44% of the roads are in poor condition. I mean, our infrastructure as a whole, the American Society of Civil Engineers grades our infrastructure. Combined, it's D-. I don't know about you, but I'm not too happy when my kids would come home and have a D-. That's not something we shoot for, especially as America.
And the cost that you said here, look at this cost for the average driver, $533 each year in repairs.
Going out of their pocket. I mean, this is just when you add that to the time and fuel wasted, that's another $1,400 a year, in time you could spend with your family, friends, or work on a few extra hours, put more money in your pocket. It's just sitting in your car. So it's about $2,000 a year every driver, especially in the urban areas, is losing.
Now, what about bridges? How many bridges are structurally deficient?
Well, the DOT, Department of Transportation, talks about 47,000 bridges are structurally deficient. And this is 1 out of every 4 bridges in the United States. Some of these bridges built for a 75-year span, they're 100 years old. I mean, it makes you a little nervous, driving over them. We certainly don't want any to fall down, but they have. Minneapolis, the 35W bridge over the Mississippi, collapsed. I mean, we shouldn't have to wait for things to break before we get ahead and fix them. It costs us a lot more then, and the tragedies that happen when we wait that long.
I've driven under bridges in Washington, D.C., going into Maryland, and you can see, like, missing pieces of concrete. Like, that does make you nervous. And to think 47,000 bridges.
It's a lot of bridges.
That's awful. Let's touch on water.
Sure.
Quickly. We all use water every day, but a lot is being lost. Look at this stat. 6 billion gallons of treated water are lost daily. I'm not million, but billion. Like, how can we prevent this?
Well, again, out of sight, out of mind, right? You don't see the leaks and everything going on under the ground, but it's going on. I think the number is, it's almost 2 trillion a year of gallons that are already treated, coming through the system, before they get into your house, is just being seeped away. And that's more money for your water bill. It's wasted, it's just wasted water. We don't, certainly, and then you get into situations where, like Flint, Michigan, where we had lead in the systems. I mean, everything, we've been coasting. We've just been coasting on what our parents and grandparents have done, and it's time we have to step up and do the right thing for our kids and our future generations.
How are our airports doing in the United States?
Well, not as good as we'd like to see. There's delays. We've got there's $100 billion, as you cite here, of updates that need to be done. I mean, there's I have the statistic in my pile here, but there's a significant amount of folks that now defer trips or don't even take trips because the hassles of going to the airports. You think you're going to get there on time, 25% are delayed, and that's it doesn't have to be like that. We should be able to get from point A to point B, whether it's in our car, or airplane, or train, and plan our lives around that. And business is the same way, and that's why we work together with them. They have to get their goods from point A to B, and we got to get people from A to B, whether it's to their job or taking kids to school, or flying to visit family or go on a vacation. Speaking
of jobs, we have so many people at the IAM who work at the airports, and America's airports support more than 9.6 million jobs. That's almost 10 million jobs. I mean, that's an incredible amount. Like, we would think that we could improve our infrastructure enough to support the people who are using it as consumers and the people who work there.
Well, and what we can do, every time we invest in infrastructure, it grows jobs, generally good jobs. The last new airport we did was Denver International. Wow. And before that, it was a long time before that one. So we haven't, we're working on 1960s and 70s technology and places to run our aircraft.
So how much do we need to really meet our current infrastructure needs?
Well, the estimates are $2 trillion to bring what we have up to a state of good repair. But to bring them into the 21st century, it's almost another $2 trillion. When you start putting in resiliency in roads and bridges so they're not washed out when we have these storms that are more frequent and more severe, when you think about drones in the sky, and when you think about all the technology that's coming, the sensors that help traffic flows and things like that, it's going to cost more. But the beauty on that is every dollar you invest, it's an investment, and it creates $3 elsewhere in the economy. When we look at spending the dollars, we're making sure that Buy America is applied, meaning if we're going to buy the goods, let's make sure we're buying them here. Something the machinist making a facility somewhere, we want to make that they're getting part of that share too. We want to make sure that the jobs are good jobs with Davis-Bacon and prevailing wages and things like that, so that we're doing things smart and we're doing things wisely and we're creating a good middle class while we're at it.
How do voters feel about infrastructure?
Well, surprisingly, you might think they feel pretty good about it. Well, they've seen the results of inaction. And the inaction is costing voters more than it does to act at this point. So they've passed, 77% of them around the country have passed ballot initiatives, raised taxes to fix their systems.
That's good to know. Tell us a little bit about why it is so hard to fix this and catch up and maintain the way we're supposed to maintain our infrastructure.
Well, and like you said, the states are doing their part a little bit. They're stepping up. It's the federal government that has not been. We have bipartisan consensus on things that need to be done, but there's an unwillingness to pay for them. And so that's what we've been fighting for a couple decades up there. Every time we do a surface transportation or highway bill, you're trying to find the funding is very tough. The current gas tax hasn't been raised since '93. It's worth only 40%. It's worth 40% less than it used to be. We've got electric vehicles on the roads. You've got more fuel-efficient cars, and the money just hasn't been adjusted to meet today's needs.
What is it going to take to get through to the federal government that we have to do something?
Well, people need to rise up. You know, they can't be silent. You know, call your members of Congress, write them, put a letter in your local paper, op-ed or editorial, you know, something like that. But don't be silent. The only way this is going to get done is by, you know, we the people, right? Stepping up and doing and letting our elected officials and holding them accountable.
Is there one way to reach our elected officials that's more effective than another? Like, is it better to call than send an email? Does it make a difference to them? Or do they pay more attention to one way over the other?
They pay to all, I mean, in person, if you can go to a town hall, if they have a town hall and raise it, well, everybody, bring some people with you, raise it, and have people there decide with you. If not that, you don't have the time for that, you know, email's very easy. You can leave a phone message. All these things work to varying degrees. But also, you know, as like I mentioned, your local media. Don't be afraid to say, I'm so-and-so, and here's what my concern. You'll be surprised how many other citizens in the community feel the same way, and then they'll chime in.
Well, that was a great tip for our audience, because we have our basic communicators class here in our audience, so hopefully they'll take that to heart as well. Before you leave, I want you to reminisce a little bit. When did you first join the IAM, come to the IAM? He's got an IAM shirt on, so we thank Tom for that. But yes, you're a familiar face.
I am. You know, I didn't expect to end up where I ended up. I started as an airline mechanic at Northwest Airlines in 1985. Wow. And it was a 10,000 member local, a good sized local, and somehow they wanted me to work on the state capitol on a few issues. And they liked what I did, and then the District 143 at the time, you know, I was their legislative director, and I came to Washington, D.C. to work in the legislative department as assistant legislative director and political director in '97.
So is that just a passion for you to go out and fight for our rights?
It's not a job. It's something that I was entrusted to do on behalf of the members. And so
you must have been
I work very hard at it. I'm very passionate about what I do. I believe in what I do. And I'm just very fortunate to have the career track I have and to represent, you know, the folks I represent.
Well, we are so thankful for all of your work for the IAM and for working people everywhere. So thank you for being here and all the work that you've done.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Oh, we have a comment already from Brian Stymax. We have gone far too long without proper investment in our local and national infrastructure. Unions will lead the way in correcting these problems. Do you agree?
I agree, Brian. You're absolutely right. Unions, we are up there with a number of affiliates. This is their top issue. Very important to them and very important to the country as a whole. And we're very loud and vocal, and we just need the members also to speak up like Brian has himself. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, so hopefully this week we'll keep, you know, the fire burning under everyone about infrastructure. And I do have to say, when I moved to Washington, D.C. from Columbus, Ohio, that first year I spent $500 on my car just tightening it up because of all the potholes around here. And you're right, it came out of my pocket. You know, insurance wasn't going to pay for it. So we feel it. We do.
We all know firsthand. We just got to do something about it.
Yep. Well, thank you so much.
And thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So join the conversation. So what do you think that we should do to fix our infrastructure? Comment now to activate your voice about roads, bridges, water, and any other part of our infrastructure. Let us know what you think using live chat on YouTube, comments on Facebook, or by replying to this video on Twitter. We want to know what you think. I can't believe I just said Twitter. I usually say Twitter. So if you are just joining us, we have the IAM's Basic Communicators class as our studio audience. And we have two students from the class that we're going to introduce. They're going to introduce themselves. They're going to tell us what they do, why they do it, and what the future holds. They'll also tell us what they've learned this week in the Basic Communicators class. Now, one student is a newly organized healthcare worker. Our next guest is Jamila Wiley, who is here from our Canadian territory. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. So
tell me a little bit about where you work and how long you've been an IAM member.
I've been an IAM member for 7 months now. We were just newly organized last year as part of a merger, a takeover that our company did with a subsidiary. And as a result of that, because they came over to the company, they were already organized, already unionized. They had to unionize everyone in the company. So we were fortunate that we were able to get unionized as well.
What was that organizing drive like for you?
It was an interesting process. Ralph Martin and Scott Jackson headed it up. It was an interesting process. I wasn't part of the original bargaining party when they went in to do the collective agreement, but we all came on board as stewards afterwards to help to support the union to make sure that it was going to work and function efficiently for the rest of the employees.
So how did you feel when you became part of the IAM?
It was a good feeling. You know, when you work as part of a union, you have more of a collective say in what happens rather than when you're just an employee on your own. So it was a great thing to be part of the union, be able to have a collective agreement to work with, rather than just being out there and having companies allow you to do whatever they want with your pay, your health insurance, everything else. So for us, it worked out really well.
So now you're an IAM member. How did you hear about the Basic Communicators class?
So because we're a newly formed lodge, the core group are basically responsible for getting the lodge up and running and getting everything going. I was asked to be communicator, so I'm literally the first communicator for my lodge.
That's excellent. And this is your class that you've been with?
This is the class that I've been sent over to learn more communication skills, learn how to get I've actually built our website along with Frank Saptel, who's the Canadian rep. He helped me to build our website. So we're trying to get it more efficient, so that we can reach more workers. Also, we're trying to hopefully this week, with my help, get a Facebook page worked out, hopefully get us on Instagram and Twitter as well.
So what has stood out to you this week, and what have you been learning?
The classes have been pretty good. I think yesterday we had a really, really good class on doing like flyers and brochures and stuff like that. So that was very helpful. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't know that we could put out there, how to design, like the web design part of it too, was very good to help us get our word out there and get more people, I guess, how should I say?
You're trying to raise awareness in your local.
Exactly, to raise awareness in the local and get the information out there to them.
So it could be about meetings, about rallies, about issues.
Exactly. So it was good. The creative part of it was good to be able to capture their attention and be able to get it there.
Excellent. So what would you say to someone who, as a first-timer, if they're interested in taking this course?
I would highly recommend the course, especially if you don't have a background in computers and if you don't really have that development skill in terms of creativity or even being able to create, like any sort of media. I think it's very good to be able to learn to do that.
Now, what made you want to be a communicator? Like, did you know you wanted to be one, or were you asked?
I knew that I wanted to be the communication. I'm very good with people, very good at meeting people. And because I'm very out there, I thought it would be a good position to have in order to, like I said, let all the members know. We have a huge, huge lodge of people that came on board all at once, and a lot of people, they're aware that the union is there, but they're not sure what the union's all about. So being able to reach out to them and let them know and get them more involved in what the lodge is doing.
This is an important job.
Yeah, very important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say to all of our Canadian members, or even members who are just joining, newly organized?
IAM is a great union to be part of. They, when we came down here last October, because a lot of us were new to the union, we didn't know very much about how the functions are with the union. And, they were very good at the Ripon Singer Center to walk us through the whole process, get us up to speed. So it was very, very good in that sense. I think the whole body of the union looks after their lodges very well, so it's very good. I think we made a really good choice.
Excellent. Well, we're glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions for Jamila, comment now on Facebook. And you never know, she may answer that question from her seat in our audience. So we are honored to have our Basic Communicators class here. So we're actually going to bring on another student from the class as well. So comment now, make your voice heard, and you can do that on Facebook, you can do that on Twitter, or on YouTube. The class has traveled all the way from Hollywood, Maryland, about an hour north to our IAM headquarters in Upper Marlboro. All of them have traveled up here, and we're going to bring in Ines, and she's going to come and sit right next to me, Ines Garcia. And Ines, how do you say your last name? Ines Garcia? Kime. Okay, I was going to guess. I got it right. But she joins us from IM Local 914 out of our District 141 in Transportation Territory. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do.
Well, I'm originally from Puerto Rico. That's where I was born and raised. I went to New York to go to university, and I ended up working for the airlines. And after the merger of Continental and United, I became an IAM member, supported the organizing drive. I always felt that we needed a union in our workplace, and I was happy to become a member of the IAM in 2011.
What was the difference like for you? Because I know I talked to you earlier and we're talking about the difference in working in a non-union workplace versus a union workplace. What changed for you?
Consistency was a big issue for me, and also we had what I thought was favoritism in the workplace, as well as a lot of unexpected things that would happen. We had no control over a lot of things. Even although we had an in-house employee involvement group, they tried their best. They had no legal standing in the face of management, so many times they were not successful. And this way we have a legal standing, we have a binding agreements that make the workplace a much more consistent. Things don't come unexpectedly. Of course, some things come unexpectedly, but we have a structure that wasn't there before. And I think that one of the best things that came out of a merger, and all mergers are painful, at least ours was certainly, we've hit our bumps. But I think one of the best things that came out of the merger of Continental and United was that we were able to join the IAM.
Well, now you have been in this basic communicators class since what, Sunday night, Monday. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to be a part of it, and what has the class been like for you?
Well, a couple of years ago, I was pulled from my line work in order to do a little bit of organizing for the IAM. And after working in that a little bit, the director, the PDGC, our district president, asked me to join the communications team for the district. I had been working in messaging as part of that organizing campaign, and I was doing some flyers,
so
working
you were already
with other
doing
people.
That.
Yes, and because I had been involved in politics previously before I became a member of the union. So organizing and grassroots political work have a lot of similarities. The skills are easily transferable. It's all about persuading people about a cause or a candidate or whatever it may be. So I was able to transfer the skills. And when Mike Clem asked me to join the communications team, my main role is editing and a little bit of writing. We have a team of 4 people, and we each have our area of expertise. We have someone who handles, Dave Lehive handles all the video and social media. Eric Price handles most of the writing, but we're really a writing team. I do a lot of the editing for Eric. And we have Bradley Cartuccio, who's our IT guy. He takes everything that we do and does the magic work that makes it all look great on the screen and in all the electronic communications that we put out for our members.
How important is that teamwork for your workflow?
Well, again, we use online tools because we're in different parts of the country, and our members are all over the country. We have 42,000 members from Maine to Guam because we're in the transportation territory. So once in a while, we're able to sit together and work together, but most of our work is done remotely, by communicating electronically. The only time we usually see ourselves is at conventions or conferences.
So what have you learned this week that you're going to take back with you?
Well, I wanted to have a better understanding of all the areas of communication and all the tools that we use in order to communicate with our members, especially in hard media. And that has I learned a lot yesterday. Like Jamila said, we had the graphic designer from the Grand Lodge come down and show us several tools that are available for us in order to do work that looks professional and clear and can be used in different platforms. And that I thought was very useful.
So is one of the tools that you learned Canva?
Yes.
See, I
Yes,
use
that
Canva
was-
too.
yes,
I
yes.
love it. It's like I
Yeah.
don't always have to use Photoshop. I can go into
And
Canva.
it's great because a lot of these tools are at no cost. So the basic platform is at no cost. So it's available to any member, really, that you just have to learn how to use it. And we were fortunate to have Michelle come over and show us how, step by step, how to do different types of communication using that software.
Michelle is Michelle Furman, and she's our graphic artist here at IAM headquarters. I don't know if she's in here or not, but she's very good at what she does. So that's who came in and spoke to the class.
Actually, all the instructors have been excellent. Andrew and John and everyone has, again, their area of expertise. And just like in District 141, they seem to work really well together.
Yeah. We have Andrew Hounshell, John Carr. How much does it help for you to hear from people that are actually doing the jobs now? It's like real world experience.
Well, they understand. It helps with consistency. They understand what we do, what our priorities are as an organization, how important it is to keep members engaged. So they're the best people to really teach us how to bring that from the 600,000 members that they're responsible for to, in my case, the 40,000, or even at the local level, even if it's a small local. I think it's great that we're able to tap on those resources at that level and then bring them down to all levels of the union, all the way down to the smallest local or the newest local.
Any advice for someone considering taking this course?
Do it. Do it. Of course, every time you go to Whippensinger, you come back energized. But in this particular case, I've learned quite a bit, and it's really been a great experience.
So will we see you in the Advanced Communicators class eventually?
Oh, sure.
Excellent.
Once they let me go again, I'll be back.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank you very much.
Oh, look, we have a comment already. Daryl Lazaro, I'm looking at this monitor because I can't see. District 141, Local 1781 from San Francisco. Thanks for watching, Daryl. We appreciate it. I am District 141 in the house. Yes. Thank you, 141. Very active, and you gave a shout out to Dave Lehive about video, so we see him everywhere. Sister Ines does a great job for the members. See, you're getting props there, so that's great. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. You sit tight, and you too can join the conversation at home. And many thanks to the students from our IM Basic Communicators class. If you'd like to ask them any questions, you still have time because they're commenting on Facebook and maybe even on Twitter. A few might even be using YouTube's live chat feature. So go ask a question in the comments section of Facebook, or you can hit the reply button on Twitter, and you can do that right now. Well, our organizing tip this week is to talk with a coworker up to 5 times to help them understand the value of joining a union. So you can talk to them at work, you can talk to them at home, you can talk to them at church. Just make sure you talk to anyone that you're working with if you see the value of joining a union, and you can help them answer some of their questions. So that's our organizing tip for the week. Well, this week in labor history, labor leader A. Philip Randolph died this week in 1979. And in 1938, the U.S. Supreme Court issued the McKay decision, which permitted the permanent replacement of striking workers. Ouch. We want to thank unionist.com for this week's labor history. We usually check in with them every week because if we don't look back at our history, we'll never learn and be able to use it to move forward. If you are a machinist union member, one of the benefits of your union membership is the ability to take classes at the Winnipeg Education and Technology Center in Hollywood, Maryland, just like the members of our studio audience. Here are some deadlines to keep in mind as we look at our W3 calendar. It's time to register for EAP 1, which is due June 3rd. Safety and Health Conference registration is due June 17th. And the Retirees Assistance Program is due June 24th. You can get more information at the website winpisinger.iamaw.org. Well, our Machinist State Council meeting is in Quebec is May 16th to the 18th. Ontario meets May 31st to June 2nd, and Pennsylvania State Council of Machinists meets June 3rd to the 5th, and that will take place in York, Pennsylvania. So mark your calendar for the 100th anniversary parade commemorating the 1919 general strike in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The IAM's bus will be there, and here's some background. In Canada, as in the United States, union membership reached unprecedented heights during World War I, and after the war, troops returned home in 1919 to few jobs. By wintertime, unemployment was rising along with the cost of living. Rent and other prices doubled in less than 5 years, while landlords and employers enjoyed big profits. Sound familiar? Well, that's why this parade on May 25th is so important. So May 15th, today, is the actual anniversary of this historical event, and the seeds of what became a workers' revolt started when other IAM and other metal trades unions formed a metal trades council and presented Winnipeg's metal trade employers with demands for union recognition. That involved an 8-hour day, overtime pay, and hourly wage rates ranging from 25 cents for apprentices to 85 cents for journey person machinists. And in that action that originally only included the building trades and the metal trades, eventually 12,000 workers walked off their jobs at 11 a.m. May 15th, 1919. Those workers made history 100 years ago today. Here's some, and you can see that special event coming up. Our own Rich Lucian, he's going to be on that W3 bus that goes to Winnipeg. Another special event coming up, the IM Wood, Pulp, and Paper Conference is June 10th to the 14th in Biloxi, Mississippi. So communications representative and our show director, Joe Heckman, and I will be there. Also, our IAM Communications Conference will take place June 4th to the 6th at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. So a lot of communicators will be down there from across North America, and we'll be able to learn more about how to communicate with your local, everyone in your district. How can we better communicate with each other? We'll have some other experts there besides the ones at headquarters. So we look forward to that. And the theme is voice activation. That's where we got the idea for this show, Activate Live, because we're learning how to activate our voices. Well, next week, you're going to join us for a closer look at the IAM Journal. We'll be taking a look at this, so it should be in your mailboxes, or maybe when you get home it'll be in your mailbox. So we'll take a look at that closer page by page next week. So support your union siblings. Share this video to your local and district page if you like what you've seen and heard. And thanks to all of you who already do. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.